All right, we're going live. Hey, Richard. Hey, everybody, we're gonna start at 3. I forgot to sharpen this tool. So we're just gonna hang. If you're in the chat already, thanks for coming in. If you would, let us know who's here and where you're from. It's always cool to see. I think I can see the chat. I see Richard. Richard, I feel like I just saw you a couple hours ago. Isn't that crazy? Let's see. That one's sharp. I think that one's sharp. All right, we're going to call it good. I got carbide too if we need it. All right, who's here? We got Richard. Myra, what's up? Jody, how you been? Jody, you making any kit lists yet? I know you have everything. I hope you have everything. Hopefully you're making something fun. All right, we got like 2 minutes, so get comfortable and we're going to turn some stuff. Now, yeah, we're going to do some candle stuff, but, oh, bump the big camera. If you guys have any requests for lives, we got a bunch of stuff lined up, but if you have any requests, shoot Amy a message or put a comment here because we do add stuff to our list all the time. So sometimes if something is timely, we might jump it in the list of what we want to do. Now, I did mean to do this like before Christmas because these would be cool for like holidays, but we're going to end up making tea light candle holders today instead of the taper ones, which I think would be more for like fancy dinner, like Taco Bell at home type dinners. So anyway, yeah, if you got ideas, let us know. Hey, look, we got Alabama, Michigan. Alabama. A lot of Alabama in the house. Very cool, very cool. All right. Let me go through the cameras. We got 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. We are experiencing winter here in Arizona, so I'm wearing long sleeves. Not common, but it's like in the 40s right now in the morning. It's crazy.
It sounds like people are having the opposite problem that we have in the summer, like where it's too hot to turn. People are having it's too cold in their shop to turn.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, I don't know what it is in here, but I'm chilly right now with a flannel on, so it's pretty nuts. North Carolina, Virginia, cool. Oh, no heat. Yeah, I don't blame you. If it's like freezing and you don't have heat, that's the same. Yeah, exactly right. Amy was saying it's the same problem for you that we have in the summer when it's like sweltering out here. You guys are freezing. So, all right, I think it's 3 o'clock. Let's get going. 29 degrees and 10 inches of snow. Well, that sounds fun, but not if you're living in it, I guess. But thanks for coming, everybody. I'm Chad from Turner's Warehouse. And today we are going to make some candle cup holders or tea light holders. I'm going to show you that in just a sec. But what I was saying before, if you have any ideas for live streams, let us know. We do have a big list of stuff we're going to be working through the next couple of months. But we're always happy to hear new ideas or maybe something we didn't think of. So let us know if you got anything and we will proceed. For anyone that is local, no, actually that's not true because we're live streaming everything. On the 27th of this month, we are having a demo day here at the store. However, it will be live streamed, so hopefully you guys can all watch. Amy, maybe you could create a live stream event for that later to remind people. We have Emily Ford. Her handle is She Turns Wood. Did I say it right?
Yep.
She's from Utah. She's awesome. She's very entertaining, and she's an awesome turner, so it works out really well for watching, turning content. She's going to be doing captive rings and some other cool stuff. So the 27th of January, make sure you tune in. if you are local or want to come to the store, you can come to the store also, but it's a free event. It'll be live streamed. We'll have it all set up. Then sometime in March, we're not sure the exact date yet. We are going to have another demo day in March before it gets too hot here. And we'll have other demos then. I don't have anything to announce yet, but we're talking to a lot of cool people. We're going to do some local stuff. Probably one person we can count on is Zach will be here, right? So Zach Higgins will probably be here, I can almost bet. But we're going to have some cool stuff. So we're working on that, and we'll announce that as we get more info, but that'll be sometime in March. And that will also be live streamed, as well as you can come in and watch in person. So the benefit of coming in person is there's always coffee. So you got to make your own coffee at home. But all right, we ready to go? Anything pop up?
We got live stream about resin casting would be good.
Yeah, we'll do some more resin casting stuff. We did a little bit of like the second half of last year, but we didn't do a lot at the end. But we will do some more resin casting. What do you guys think about ring making? Because I've got a couple really cool ring live streams I can do if you guys are interested in that. But if you're not, I don't want to do it. But we got ring making, resin casting. We got a bunch of custom / kitless pen stuff to do. So there's a lot to do and only one live stream a week, so makes it hard. But we'll jump on some of those for sure. Always a big truck whenever I turn on the cameras. Should we close that down? Can you hear it on the... Oh, okay. I have my door open about a foot, and of course a big truck pulls up because I'm about to go all the way. All the way. There you go. Yep, perfect. That definitely cut out some of the sound. All right, let's jump into this. Let me go over here. Whoops. Let me get rid of this fading jazz. All right. So what I'm going to make today is tea light cup holders. So you don't have to use these cups, but I like them, and I think it's a little cooler look. We sell these at Turner's. We have them in 4 colors. They come in 5 packs here. And how it works is you drill a hole. This is a 1 5/8 Forstner bit, and then it presses down in there. And when you turn it, it looks really cool. Plus, it's always easier to clean out and stuff if you have that metal. But the tea light just drops in there and so on. Now, we do have these for taper candles, like the taller candles. And that's what you're going to see here, these cups. These are a 23 millimeter, or let me think of the standard size. It's 30, excuse me, it's 29/32, which is a really odd size. And the reason I'm not making this today, because I originally was going to do this one, is I could not find my 23. I had a 23 Forstner bit. I think I loaned it to someone, and I could not find it. But we'll do those another time. These are really cool. I've got these 2 pieces of maple here that have like some spalting and some burl. I want to do these for sure. Then I've got some other sizes, so we can kind of pick and choose as we go along here and see how far we get. I guess I got 6 blocks and 5 cups. Now the cool thing is you don't have to do them all, or you could do more if you want to like create this cool array. And I think what's really cool about these is you can make them all the same, or you can make them all different. And I like to make them different. And then when you have like a collection of small different candles, it looks really cool. So these, what I'm thinking, and you guys tell me what you think, I was going to make one kind of just round and squatty, because the wood is super cool. So maybe this one to save as much of that wood as we can. And then I was thinking one like kind of round and squatty, but maybe put a couple of beads at the top, because I'm really digging the Easy Wood beading tool. And I think this would be a good one for that. So I think those could be really cool. And then this other, like this one, is some flame box elder. So I don't know how much the flame goes into it. It looks like it goes all the way through, but this could look really cool. It does have a little bit of a like knot inclusion or some bark inclusion. I don't know. But that could be a really cool one. So I think I'll start with those 3. And if you have ideas on shapes, let me know. But it's kind of a thing where you can just make up your own shape. So we're going to go with that. Now, let me jump back over here. This is kind of cool because you can put these on your lathe in a couple of different ways. I've got a mini chuck that fits nicely. The downside is it fits all the way in, and so I'm going to be up against the jaws here, so I won't be able to like turn or sand that on the lathe. Now, I guess that's not that big a deal, but I can also use these pin jaws. And, well, it doesn't give me much room there either. I guess I could bring them out a little. I don't know. Let's try one on here, and then we'll switch and try one on this and see which one's better. I'm trying to remember. I've done these before, and I don't remember how I chucked them up. So I guess this will be a good practice bit. So we'll use the mini first. Has anyone made these candle cup holders or candle holders like this that had a better idea for chucking it up? I'm sure there must be. Oop. And so I'm just expanding. This is like if you were turning a bowl and you put your recess into the bowl. I'm just expanding it into it, and then I'm going to turn it and shape it. Now, this one, let's do this one and do a really good finish on this. See how this can look. We'll do the sanding sealer and the Yorkshire and all that, and I think it'll look really cool. And then maybe we'll jump to the flame next to see how that one looks. And that'll give us a little more practice, I guess. What's up?
I was thinking about the vacuum.
Yeah, one thing I didn't think to do before the live stream started was hook the vacuum back up. I moved it over to the classroom for a class, and I forgot to move it. So it might get dusty. I'll have to wear a respirator, but ideally I'd want my vacuum. I just totally spaced it. And actually I thought of it like a minute before we were about to go live. I was like, oh yeah, my vacuum's sitting over there, my nozzle. So use a vacuum, but I didn't have one today. All right.
Rick says, I made a hollow form base and carved out a tree and inserted that so it produced a shadow.
That's cool.
Oh, like a tree on...
Yeah, I get that. All right, let's see what this will do for us here. So I'm turning on the Regent. The Regent is a 220 record power machine. It's what I do mostly everything on now. Whoa, well, 4,000 RPM on a candle cup. That should do it. Let's see. So it's kind of cool to see, you know, when you're turning these, like I stopped there because I want to show you. Like it feels like it's so round when you're turning, and then when you stop it, you know, you got these flat spots. But that just shows you how with a nice gouge or something, you can really round something quickly. It's always nicer to start with it, you know, from square to round already, but it's not that big a deal. Now I do got to be real careful when I get this down to my chuck there. This is a little tiny chuck. It's a SC2 mini chuck. It's 2.5 inch or 2.25 inch body, one or the other. I can't remember. It's either 2.5 or 2.25. So I'm just trying to get this round, and I did pick the shortest tool rest in the world for this. For some reason, I was turning a pen last, so. Now what's cool is, once I have this round, oh, I got a little flat spot still. Once I have this round, I kind of just want to make it like, I wonder if I could make it look like a blob of material, like bloop, and then have like something on top, like kind of stair-stepped a little bit. I don't know. It always seems good in my head, and then when I start to do it, it doesn't necessarily work out. And the wood will tell me, yeah. And the downside is I can't really do anything too drastic up here. I don't want to hit my chuck. But let's try on the bottom here. So we'll round this off. Now I'm trying to think here as I slowly turn how I want this to look. See, that's the hard part. Let's see. Maybe this one would look cool with like an upward taper to that chuck. I don't know, does anyone else struggle with design once they get going? Ooh, what if I left a rim there? Would that look cool? Okay, let's do that. We'll put this rim a little bit of a taper back, and then we'll kind of undercut it here. All right, that might look kind of cool. It might look like a little honey pot. I don't know if that's good or bad. Round that one. Let's cut in a little more. Let's look at this wood. I think this is going to be really nice wood. It's a little soft right there, but we should be able to cure that with the sanding sealer, make that a little nicer. So that's a pretty good cut for like wood that's, here, let me zoom in a little bit. Is that better? Yeah. So this wood with the spalting and the burl, it's a little soft right there, so you can see it kind of looks a little tore up. But otherwise, it's a really nice clean cut. I just sharpened this little, this is a record power bowl gouge. I sharpened it right before we started. So I got clean cuts. And the only place I have any tear out is on those soft spots. And I think I could do the top by hand. Here, let's take it off and look. Yeah, I think it's kind of a cool shape. But I am kind of bummed that I can't do a whole lot with the top because of the chuck being there. Although it looks pretty awesome with that thick rim. So if I put the cup in there. See, the reason I like these cups is it kind of gives it an accent look too. So it would look fine in wood, but the rim kind of makes it look more like a project, I guess. But I think this one's kind of cool. What do you think? Should I do more or just kind of finish that up? I think I need to sand it a little bit. Whoop. So let's do something here. I'm going to come in on it with a carbide and try to like clean up these little tear out spots from the soft wood. Now I have a negative rake on here, but I don't know how old it is. And one thing you don't want is to have the center higher than the outside, because then it'll wobble, it won't sit flat. So I'm going to come in on the center here and just make sure it's a little lower. Which I'd want to do that anyway. I cut this on the miter saw, so it should have been square, but you just never know for sure. Let's see if we can clean this up a tiny bit.
We have a couple notes for using the beading tool to put into the beads.
On this one?
On one of them.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. So I get a lot of questions about like carbide versus regular tools. And I mean, you can see right here that you can use both. I think a lot of people get stuck on the fact that you have to use one or the other. And it actually comes up in the classes all the time too. Like, which do you use, carbide or regular tools? And the answer is always both, because some tools are better for things than others. So like, don't get stuck that you have to have one kind of tool or the other, because you don't. And like, there might be a better tool for what you're doing than, you know, the one if you're stuck on only one or the other. But like you can see, this is obviously very small, but like coming in with these carbide tools makes it really nice and smooth. But there always are like alternatives to how you're doing things. See, I think I made it worse with that, trying to smooth it out. Let's see here. So use whatever works. That's what I would tell you. All right, let's kind of finish, like sand this a little bit and do some work on it and see if we can make it look really awesome. So what I'm gonna do first is I've got some sanding sealer. Get all this dust out of here. I don't have a compressor, so I have to be the compressor. So I'm gonna sanding sealer this. This is diluted 50% sanding sealer, 50% lacquer thinner. So what I've found, I like sanding sealer just normally, but with the diluted mix, it soaks in a little better. So sometimes I have to put multiple coats on it, but that's okay. It soaks in really well. And it still dries fast. It probably dries faster because it's diluted. But this isn't necessarily to make it shiny on its own, but when we go to sand and put finish on it, it'll certainly make it shinier and smoother. So anything like this, or anything wood, sanding sealer does help a lot. And you can do this on pens or whatever you're doing. Uh-oh, my brush is falling apart. You can see some areas it just like soaks in like a sponge, and then some areas it's not at all. Try to get this rim. All right. So, oh, I just got dust all in that. Fell into the dust bin. Huh? Yeah. I'll have to get it. I mean, you can get it if you want. I'm on the overhead camera. Don't drop your lid into the dustbin. It'll really mess it up. So I'm just going to wipe off the extra here so this will dry a little quicker. Normally I would totally let that sit. Amy, you can just set it up here on the table. I would normally let that sit and dry, but I don't want to make you guys watch paint dry. Actually, we probably should put another coat. So I'm just using the lathe to kind of spin it. See, it's not dry. It flicks some on me. Right in the mouth. But let me put another coat on it just to...
Do you put it on sand and then put on...
Yeah, so normally, that's a great question. The question was, do you put it on then sand? So normally I would sand a little bit, like to 220 or 240 or 320, and then put it on. But because I had these little soft spots in this wood, because it's like spalted and had little punky areas, I wanted to kind of put this on to harden those up before I sand even a little bit. So the bulk, other than what soaks in here, the bulk of this is going to get sanded off, but I'm just hoping, and it should, make my soft spots a little better for sanding, even for the initial sand. So we might end up sanding it or putting this on, sanding it, and then putting a little more on once we sand it to see. We'll see how it looks.
What's the container you have your stainless steel or lacquer?
This is it's an oil cup for like machining. It's got like a funnel at the top with a hole in it, and it has a lid that I dropped. The only negative is the brush can't fit in it, so you gotta keep the brush somewhere else. But it does have these little like depressions so your brush doesn't roll away, which is nice. But honestly, like a jar that's tall that you can leave the brush in is better, which I'm switching to. I have a giant jar here that I'm gonna start switching everything into, so it's just easier. Although the jar is glass if I drop it. Okay, let's sand this a little bit. I'm gonna pull out a bunch of Abranet here. So I got 320, so let's use that. Now, make sure this is dry. In the summer, this stuff dries literally as soon as I put it on. Like 10 seconds later, it's hard. Right now, it's still a little soft because it's cold in here. So make sure this dries. I'm gonna use Abranet because I like Abranet the best. I can clean it and rinse it out and it keeps going and going and going. But if you sand it too soon and it's mushy, it'll goop up your sandpaper a lot. So, you know what we could do is we could let this sit for a few and I could jump on the other one. Why don't we do that? Because this is pretty like soft, not soft, but like sticky. It's cold in here, especially for here, it's cold. All right, so I'm gonna put that one over there. And let's do this one, because I'm really curious about this flame. So obviously I'm gonna have to turn it down. I'll just have to get really close to those jaws and see what's up. Let me put this up here. All right. Well, if I was going the right way, that would help. This flame should look really cool if it goes all the way through. All right, let me get a bigger tool rest. That'll work. All right, so if you are new to this, when you're setting your tool rest, you want to have it as close as you can get comfortably. I mean, you don't want it to rub, but you need room to work, but you don't want to be way back because that'll allow chatter. Get your tool rest up nice and close. And you can always move it. And then when your tool is on the rest, you want it to be about the center of your spindle. So this one's a little low. And that looks pretty good. Now, if it moves over time, you can always raise or lower your spindle or move your tool rest. All right. And this is pretty stable because it was a square piece, so I'm going to up it a little bit. We're about 1,300 RPM. Now you could use, of course, a roughing gouge. But this isn't so big that it's that big a deal. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool.
It's like red. It's even redder inside than it was on the outside. This might look really awesome. All right. So I'm going to get close, but I'm going to be real careful. I'm going to back off right there. Okay, let's see here. So this is round, this isn't, this is definitely not. We'll just carry on from here. I'm just turning around so I can use my bevel to kind of protect me from hitting the chuck. All right, so let's see. What does this look like? I mean, that looks pretty awesome. I think you could almost just make this straight and it would look cool because it's got such cool stuff going on here. Hey, that looks pretty great. What if we put black in there? Would that be too much black? That'd be a lot of black. It'd be really, you know, it's not like a hairline. It's like big chunks. Might be too much.
I don't think so.
No?
You could inlay it with something else too.
Yeah, we could do some inlay on this thing. All right, I'm gonna come in here with my carbide. See if I can not make a highlight reel of messing up here. I'm trying to get real close. Oh, I heard it tapping. All right, so I got a little bit of a lip there, right on the inside, but we can get that at the very end somehow. We can always put, oh, the other chuck might give us just enough wiggle room to be able to cut that up. Yeah. So let me swap this real quick because that might be helpful. This one fits really nicely, and you can see how close I was. Wow, that's pretty good, huh? But the other one had like 1/8 of an inch of space, which means I could come behind it. So this is an SC3, and I've just got these like pin jaws. I'm not sure what size they are. Ooh, just barely. And actually, what we can do is, since I have a spot on the back, I'm not going to take away my tailstock till the very end. So I'm going to hold it with the tailstock, tighten them up here, and now I can come around them a little bit. So I think that'll work. I'm not a spindle guy, just so you know, so I should have prefaced that. I like to turn pens and bowls. I don't generally turn stuff that's long, so I guess pens are kind of spindles, like a little bit. Let's see here. So I've got a lot more room now. We'll go to this one. So I kind of just want to round this corner was my thought. And I should have enough room I can get in there and sand. And I'm just using the side of this diamond tool here. Oh, what do you think about beading on this one? This might look cool with some beads.
Maybe
Like,
at the bottom maybe, or at the very top, because of that cool.
yeah, that's true. I don't know how this bark would look with beads through it, so maybe not there. All right, let's do that. Whew. Let's see. Just trying to smooth it out a little bit. Ouch. Yeah, maybe down here where it's more clean. I don't know, it might show that off, might not. Who knows? What do you guys think? A little bit of beading at the bottom? if anyone is into beading. Oh, really? Inlay, huh? I guess, we could grab the UV resin and do some, what would look good in red and white? Turquoise or like blue or red? We got red in there. You want to grab?
Black or something else?
Well, we'd have to do the stone. You want to grab the red? It's like in one of these jars, like the tall jars. No, grab me UV and a light and the red stone. Okay. Well, you guys made that easy. That's cool. Let me get some of this bark out of here. I'm using my center punch, the right tool, right, for the right job. This stuff is loose. So although we can UV it in, I don't want it to be like coming loose with the UV. So anything loose, I'm just going to knock out. I mean, look at this. This looks fake. It looks like paint on the outside, these like spots, but those are all the flame. I mean, this might look really good or really bad. I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty loose. I wasn't prepared for this, so don't judge my tool choice here. Okay, what do you got? I don't know, you don't think that'll be too much red? I mean, we could do
50-50 in the pool.
For what?
Oh, I put black inlay and something else.
Well, we could do.
For sure, but
We could CA the red in with black CA, and that'd be black around the red. You know what I'm saying?
you need one more people to vote.
One more vote.
It's a dead heat, 50-50.
See if there's black stone in there. Well, I guess that doesn't help. Hey, you wouldn't grab me a pick, would you?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you guys think? This is red pipestone. Actually, I don't think I want to use that one. That one's not very bright. It's more dull. What about this red? Here, I'll dump a little in. We can always dump it out. Is that too much red? See what you think. Yeah. All right, see what y'all think. I asked if this was too much red, Amy. Now we can do that down in below the surface a little bit. Or we can do it right up to the top. I don't know, you don't think this would look good with some green? Like some malachite or anything?
I mean, I think, what do we got in the chat? We've got purple with opal, CA and red mica powder.
Yeah.
Black would look great. Red, but a light color.
See, I don't know if this is too much red for the flame.
At the end of the poll, it was 50-50. So I think that
Yeah.
means you get to decide, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Won't that red darken up when you put?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be real dark. All right. I think what?
If you wanted to make that red a little bit lighter, you could mix in some of the African like with the red
Yeah.
to like lighten it up a little bit. That'd be cool.
Yeah, this is weird on the fly. I just dumped it all out. Can you grab me the malachite, the green? It's like one of the round jars.
Yeah.
I think it has to be mixed, and that's okay. I think this is too much red. We got to break it up here. Let's see. Let me zoom this camera in. It's funny because this wasn't even going to be an inlay, like we weren't even going to do inlay, but this worked out. It's a green tube maybe. It might be in on the table. It's one of these.
Okay.
Green.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think what we'll do, I'm gonna go back to the overhead. Amy's getting the green malachite. This is the coral. So what I'm doing is kind of like, I sprinkled it, and then I'm gonna, this is kind of a thing that I like to do on flat stuff. That looks really cool. So I don't know why it wouldn't look cool here. And it might be really hard to see, I apologize. But you can see the red in here. We need just a little more in this hole and a little bit up here. And I'm just kind of scooting the grains around. This is the small grain. We have powder, large and small. I probably use the small grain the most, although I do use the large a lot in bigger stuff, because I always try to use the biggest grain I can fit comfortably and still have clear coat over it. This one, I'm not super worried if it's got clear, but I think this will look cool. Any luck? This is, Rick, this is right up your alley. Rick does a lot of these stone-filled projects.
I think we must be out.
There it is.
Oh, there it is.
All right, so this is malachite, crushed malachite. These are synthetic stones. These are man-made stones. So now what I'm going to do is kind of sprinkle it with my red. And the reason I like to do this is because then I don't have one overpowering color. So we're going to have some red, some green. And I mean, you could do a third. You could do blue, like turquoise. We're good. All right, and then I'm going to use UV resin. You could use, I'm right under a skylight. We're going to see how that works. Directly above me is a skylight in the shop here. Here, you know what I'll do? I wonder if I could shade it. Well, that doesn't help with the camera. All right, you guys are going to see if it works or not. So I'm hoping that it doesn't cure so fast that it doesn't have time to soak into the wood a little bit. That's my goal. Oh, man.
From the chat for a minute. Charles is here. He said too much red. Use green and blue.
You know what? Whose idea was this? It looks like Christmas. We just had Christmas. Way to go, Charles. I'm just kidding. All right. Well, it's running, so that means it's not curing super fast. I may have went a little too ambitious here.
Rick says purple is great with green.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, I was thinking what might be really cool is amethyst.
Yeah, amethyst might look good. Here, let's cure this before I make too much of a mess. So I'm using the UV light now. The cool stuff about using UV on this is you have as much time as you need until UV light hits it. Now, that being said, I've got a UV light right over me on accident.
Kind of overcasty today.
Yeah, might be a little slower today. But I can at least set it here with this, and it'll loud noises. I don't ever know what you guys hear on the camera. There's just some loud pop right outside the back door. But look at the color of the flame. I don't know if you can see it. It looks like, it turns like pink. Like whatever's in that tree is super cool. Now there's a loud noise over there. I don't know what's going on.
Sounds like a car.
All right, so I'm going to sprinkle a little more in this lower section. So you guys can see I'm literally just pouring it into my hand and kind of sprinkling it over. I am losing some. Probably if I was a little more prepared, I would have had something under it, but we're not doing too much. So I'm not super worried about losing too much here. This stuff being man-made is a little more affordable than like real turquoise or malachite or whatever. Now I've got one little crack here. I'm going to put more green in that one and see how it looks. All right. This is going to look really cool or really bad. There will be no middle. All right. So I just did this little sliver right here. So hopefully that'll soak in. And normally I would put a little UV resin in the spot first and then sprinkle my stone in it. The reason I didn't is I'm worried that the overhead skylight is going to cure my resin, which I can't tell if it is or not, but it probably will. These I'm just filling some. See, it's running, so I don't think it is, which is nice. All right, let's cure these. Now, UV works really well as a filler. So if you have like a low spot or a void, you can fill it in. You don't have to use stone or anything, but you can just use the UV as a clear to fill in a spot. And we'll do that up here. Boy, this live stream has gone off the rails. Oh, don't be squeezing it while the light's on, dummy. That was funny. All right, now put the light on. So what I was saying is you have as much time to do your work with the light. So if you didn't have an overhead light or an open window next to you or a window, you can literally move this stuff around for hours or days, and it won't cure until it gets hit with UV light. So if you were working on something that was really painstaking and you were trying to get the stones just right or to look a certain way, you've got plenty of time. That's a great reason to use UV. But the nicest thing versus like CA, because CA works fine, but CA just cures when it's ready, so you don't have any control over it. So if you were trying to do something specific, it might be more difficult when you're under a time crunch. And then like this, we can obviously just cure it up, and if we do this long enough, we can turn it right now. But I don't know. I mean, it feels pretty good. You can see them. It's hard to the touch, but I don't know if it's hard enough to turn.
I can UV it while you switch back to the other one.
Yeah, we might do that. So I think we'll just stick with these two projects now that we've jumped into this. I'm going to leave these voids open because we weren't really necessarily trying to fill the voids, but we weren't not. So we'll see how this works. All right. If I started filling everything, it would take a little while, but it could be done for sure. All right. You want to just set this outside in the sun?
Can you use mica with UV?
The question is, can you use mica with UV? You can. Now keep in mind, UV resin, can you reach? UV resin has to have light, the UV light pass through it to cure. So if you put a thick thing of mica, you might want to do it out front just because the sun will be more towards the front of the building. If your mica's too thick, mica will block light. So you might want to put a little tiny bit down, a little bit of mica, cure it, a little bit more resin, a little bit of mica, cure it, and kind of build it up in layers rather than just thick mica. Because if you just put thick mica in, you might cure the surface, but you'll have soft resin underneath it, and it'll cause you problems at some point. It's going to either come out, or it's going to leak, or it'll be soft or something. So mica's tricky because you have to layer it in light mica that still is enough breakup to let the light pass. But generally, if you're doing layers, you can work it, and it'll still look thick and like rich mica coloring if you just do a little bit at a time. Now, that being said, if you're only doing a little speck, you might not be able to do layers. But if you're only doing a speck, you might want to just use CA or something that's easier and faster. So, all right. Well, let's jump back over to this. And I think that's going to be pretty cool. So we're going to finish up that one in just a minute. But what I've got here is this this little first one we did. Now the top, obviously I have lines and I didn't sand it or anything. I did cut it on the miter saw, so at least it was a fairly nice cut. But I'm just going to hand sand a little bit here. Now I could do what I did before with the other one and kind of extend it out here. So let's do that. Get this up here a little closer. Put that right on there. And that'll just give me a little room to get some sandpaper in there. Because hand sanding sure takes a long time when you're used to the lathe. All right. Whoa. Hello. All right. You got it out there? Yeah, let me see here. Do you have a paper one? I had one in here. All right, we're just going to get a little bit here. So I just have to be careful not to whap my knuckles on these jaws. Like that. I may end up having to hand sand that anyway. But I'm just going to lightly sand the sanding sealer, so to speak. You can see this on the Abranet here. That's the dust in the sanding sealer kind of building up on there. Looks slick. Was that in the sun? You got it in the sun?
Yeah.
So Amy put the UV piece out front in the sun. The back of our building doesn't get any sun this time of day. It's like shaded. So the front is much better. All right, look how smooth that looks. So the sanding sealer definitely helped. And you can see how much built up in there. So I'm gonna have to wash out this piece of Abranet. The grains are, oh, we're moving a little bit. I got some circular marks, maybe from the brushing or the turning, I don't know. We'll try to get those out of here. Yeah, it kind of looks like a little honey pot or a little like planter. Yeah, I'm not sure what these lines were from. I think they're in the sanding sealer because they're coming out fairly easy. They could have been from my turning, I don't know. I didn't notice them before, but I wasn't focused on it. And I did start really high on the sandpaper here at 320. So I might have taken those out real fast if I started at a lower grit. Yeah, we might have to back down just real quick. Try to get those out of there. Let's see. $240. Let's try that. So I'm going to back down to 240 here. See if that helps. There's a tiny bit of dust coming off of here, but not much. You can see how easy it flicks out of there. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, it came out pretty good. So I'm going to put some more sanding sealer on it, and then we're going to Yorkshire it and see if that helps. So let's see here if I can pour this. I just took the lid off so I can dip in here. Now the hard part will be, well, maybe not that hard, a little bit. Although I don't know if I got all the lines off the top, so I'm going to go back and do that. So we'll let this dry for just a sec. And I think that did help having the sealer on the first part, because those spongy parts definitely felt firmer. So that was just kind of, I wasn't necessarily using it as a sanding sealer, more of a hardener on those little padded or squishy pad parts. All right, let's grab some paper towel. So the lathe is set up to go a little faster than I'd like, but we'll try it out here. So I'm going to use Yorkshire Grit, which is a sanding, think of it as sandpaper. And we're going to, oh, I've got a pad in here. We're going to apply it and slowly speed up. Let me move the box so I can use my other hand. We'll and I'm just using a Scotch-Brite, whatever the Scotch-Brite is that doesn't have any abrasive to it. I learned that from Bob at Unique Wood. He always applied his finish with a Scotch-Brite, and it blew my mind. But it works really good. Even though this isn't finished, this is sandpaper. So I'm going to turn it up slightly. And then I do want to use the paper towel to make sure I get all the Yorkshire off of there. Yes. So because we're going to put a friction polish, we don't want any Yorkshire left on here when we're done. You can see all that brown. Let me get a fresh spot. I'm going to try to go over the edge here a little bit. Yeah, still some on there. So this is like sanding, you know, to a much, much higher grit, which you could just sand or do this, but look at that.
So much shinier than that.
Yeah, so that gives it, like, with the sanding sealer, and then we sanded, and then the Yorkshire Grit gives it that, like, higher luster or whatever, shine. All right, now we can add some friction finish, which is even more fun. So I'm going to get a fresh paper towel here. folded up. These are kind of light paper towels, so I fold these a bunch. Plus, I don't like any edge on it, so. I'm using Mylan's friction finish. This is what I've shown a bunch in videos because it's what I like the best here. But the key for me is to put a little bit on first and then go back and do more. So I'll work one area with one drop, and I'm going to work this little angle. And I'm letting a little heat build up. And here, we'll do half of this. Maybe we can show like half. Get a little fresh spot. See how that looks. Oh no, that's amazing. It looks like maybe some of the paper stuck in the finish. These paper towels are not very good. Let me grab a microfiber I have over here. Well, luckily it was just stuck on the surface, so that was like some of the paper stuck into the finish. And it's probably because I'm going a little too fast from what I would normally like. So I'm going to kind of lighten up my pressure a little bit. But you just have to make sure it is cleared. So like with this microfiber, I was able to make sure it's all gone. And you can see here, it was like a ring of paper. But I can use this now. I'm going to use this and still go really light on the amount of finish. But at least this is like better quality cloth. I think. I've never used microfiber for applying a finish. We could be in for bad luck. But you can kind of see as it spins, it starts to look shinier. Yeah. I always meant to like use t-shirt material, but I just never did. But it looks like it's working pretty good. I just want that little bit of heat build up. All right, let's see how it looks. Oh yeah, that looks pretty cool. So that gives it a good shine. And then we just gotta, let's see, yeah, we're pretty dry. Obviously, you wouldn't want to necessarily touch this right away, but we're going to today. If you want to do multiple coats with the Mylan's friction finish, it's best to wait some time in between. I like to wait like a day in between. But I mean, you can see here, I'll go to this other camera. Like it's a good shine for just that quick. But if you did a couple of coats, and if we had done another sanding sealer coat in between that first one and the sanding, it would have definitely been smoother, although it came out pretty smooth. But I gotta sand this top by hand real quick for these lines. And then we can jump back to the other project. You wanna go grab that? See if it's ready. So while Amy gets the box elder, I'm gonna see if I can hand sand out these lines and kind of give this a little attention on the top here. I'm trying to like keep my paper bent so I don't go to the rim, because we got the rim looking pretty good. So this is the downside of how we're holding this, is that we can't do this on the lathe. Although really, it's not that big a deal, and that didn't take very long to get those lines out. And I wouldn't have drawn the lines if I'd have known that. So, I mean, a lot of that could have been avoided. But it's a really cool looking little pot here. Let's see. It has a lot of cool grain to it. So there's the top. So on the top, I'm going to grab my sealer here. I'll use the other end of my towel. I don't need much. I'm just going to sanding sealer it. And if anything, I mean, this is where you'd want to spend the time, because this is the part you're going to see the most, is the top where the candle is, right? So we'll let that dry a sec. And you probably could Yorkshire it by hand, but I'm not going to. I'll just hit it with this 600 here when it's dry. And then that way we can go back and put a little friction finish on it. See, that's so thin it dried pretty quick.
Mark says he likes friction polish for wood because it feels like wood. That's why I do too.
Yeah, that's right. So Mark said because it feels like wood. I agree. Like everybody always wants to do CA on pens, and I get it. It looks shiny and nice. See, I'm literally putting it on and sanding it off, but look how shiny and smooth it looks. But it doesn't feel like wood. It feels like plastic, which is fine if you're into that. But I like the wood to be woody. So I like friction finish. Hey, one thing that's interesting here, this towel where the finish got hot on the turning, it's like hard. It's like a protective coating. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, that's why I use friction finish, because I like a wood feel versus plastic. I mean, if I want plastic, we can always do a resin blank, right? All right, see, this is hard to get 3,500 RPM. I mean, it looks good. I kind of just did a wipe on, like, finish with it. But if we throw it in this thing, boom, looks like a candle holder. Actually, wait. It is technically a candle holder. There we go. Done deal. So quick little project, but that's pretty cool looking, right?
Yeah, that's great.
All right, let's jump back to the fun stuff, that thing we were messing with.
Where'd you blow out the candle?
Because I don't want to set off a smoke alarm or something. All right. So this feels pretty good. Yeah, let's see what happens. I don't know. The other thing, I don't want to go crazy with this chuck, because I'm sure I could break this wood if I tried to put too much pressure on it. So I'm going to use my negative rake since I have one on here. Ordinarily, I wouldn't go get it if I didn't have it right here. I think you could use any carbide to cut the UV. I probably wouldn't use like a bowl gouge or spindle gouge, because it might just be too aggressive. I don't know. Might not. Feels awful slow, doesn't it?
I think that she uses friction polish in a micro crystally wax on top for things to go out.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, the wax works nice for like putting a coating on it too. So I'm not trying to take off a lot of wood here. I'm just trying to cut through any of that UV, and you can, oh, that was a bummer. You can see on my hand the white shavings is from that. So that was a little, take that out of there. All right. And that's for two reasons. When we have this, it doesn't look bad at all. Where the resin was over the wood, if I didn't cut it away or sand it away, it would look weird because you'd have that like dark ring around it. But this, you can tell, is pretty much only in the hole. Now, we didn't fill all these other holes, which kind of looks weird, but let's give it a quick sand. We're going to do this 240. We're going to make this kind of quick here because I don't have my dust collector. And you really, really want a dust collector. If I was doing this on my own, I would not just have gone ahead, but I didn't want to mess up the live stream and not have it. Now, I'm not throwing too much dust, but there is some. Let's see how it looks. Okay, well the wood looks nice and smooth, so that's cool. All right. Is that a mosquito in here?
I actually really like the shape of that too.
Oh, really? Just leave it as is?
I like simple stuff.
Okay. Well, this one's Amy's because she likes simple, and this one is simple. So, let me see here. I'll wipe the dust off if I can. So I'm going to sanding sealer this one as well. And even though I've got that resin, the cool thing with the resin is you can kind of work on it as soon as it's cured. I haven't noticed a lot of issues with like the resin not working or having issues later if I use it right away, as long as I know it's cured. When you're using UV resin, if it's a little tacky on the surface, that's okay. Man, sleeves are hard to work with. But if it's soft, like if you squeeze it and it moves, you don't want that. Dusty. Okay, let's put some sanding sealer on here. I'll just use the brush. That'll be easier than doing that. Any questions on the sanding sealer process or anything? It's pretty easy as long as you know it's what its intended purpose is. Oh, look at the red really comes out. It's kind of like, it's like a lacquer type finish on its own. Maybe it is lacquer, I don't know. But it's not really a good finish on its own. It's just good with part of something else. All right.
That's a really pretty piece of wood.
Yeah, and so I am going to like kind of soak into these other divots that I didn't fill that were like bark and like chunk whatever, because I do want to have it soak in there and harden up to anything that's in there. But that really did make the colors come out nice.
Can you see the recipe for how you have your sanding sealer again?
Yeah, it's just it's 50% sanding sealer and 50% mineral spirits. And I'm sure you could probably use something else for a solvent as long as it cooperates. I mean, you're just like diluting it. You're not trying to, what's the word? I don't know. I'm not great with technical stuff. Hold on, I knocked my mic off. On YouTube here, Stumpy Nubs, I'm sure everybody's seen him. He's awesome with like explaining. Sorry if that sounded bad, it was in my hand. He's awesome at explaining finishes, and I don't know that I've ever seen him talk about sanding sealer in particular, but finish-wise, that dude knows everything about finishes, I think. So he's a great one to watch if you have questions on finishes. Now, I don't know that he does a lot of turning stuff. I think he's more like other woodworking, but that's fine.
So at the beginning, you said lacquer, and then this time you said mineral spirits.
I said lacquer?
I think you did. Somebody in the chat said that, and when you said mineral spirits, I was like, I swear you said lacquer.
You know, anything's, oh, lacquer thinner. I did say lacquer thinner. Nailed it. See, it was covered up.
Good catch, Gerald.
Lacquer thinner. But I think you can use mineral spirits because mineral spirits is it says cleans sprayers, tools, improves flow, leveling, helps resist blushing. I'm just doing this so we don't have to sand as much. Is Charles still in here? Charles would know. Can you dilute sanding sealer with mineral spirits or lacquer thinner? See, everyone's catches me when I mess up. It's good. Let's let this spin a sec. Does anybody know the answer, I should say? Because I'm just going off what I think here. The one I use is lacquer thinner, which I know you can use. I was told specifically lacquer thinner works. Mineral spirits, maybe. Who knows? I mean, what do you come here for? Information or entertainment? I don't know. Hopefully neither. Okay. So let's let this, feels a little dry down here, a little not dry up there. Okay. This looks pretty cool, and I don't think the colors were a good choice, so I made a terrible choice with the red and green. The green was bad. It would have looked better with red. But you never know. So until you do it, how are you supposed to know? All right, so I'm going to do Yorkshire on this guy. So we sanded it. We put diluted sanding sealer with lacquer thinner, kind of twice. And then now I'm going to put Yorkshire on it. And I'm using the Yorkshire as a sanding paste. It is a sanding paste. I'm not using it as a sanding paste. And even though I got resin in there, the Yorkshire will still work and look pretty good. Speed it up a little, although I'm already going fast. Okay, that's enough of that. Should have shown you overhead here. So look at all that I'm getting off of there. Let's flip this inside. Yeah, look at these paper towels. They just fall apart so quick. They were not meant for this. Although it looks like I'm getting most of it off. What do you guys, does anyone else use like something else as a sanding sealer? Because I have used lacquer, like spray lacquer, as a sanding sealer. So, I mean, I know you can do that. But the question, I think, with the diluting it, you don't have to dilute it, by the way. I didn't start doing that till more recently. And that was more for larger projects. Like on pens, I probably will still use the straight stuff because I barely use any. But like when you're putting it on the inside of a bigger bowl, it's harder to get it in there when it's thick and wants to flop around. What's up, anything? So I'm going to go across in a thin line. Oh, and I went back to the paper towel. Whoops, let me grab this other thing. See, it's habit. All right, microfiber, thin line. Whew, builds up quick. You can like see it getting finished off there. Oh, really? See, that's the thing I don't know about how those different things react. So that's a good point. And that you don't want to take advice from me because I don't know. All I know is if it works or not when I'm using it. I can't tell you about anything else. All right. You think this is going to look good or? Trying things out is kind of my jam. Well, so the theory was good here. It looks clear. It looks nice. I mean, you saw how quick that was, but the colors are horrendous. Yeah, so this thing will have to get burned in a fire. We cannot keep it. It's that bad. It's really bad. I mean, it looks like a horrible Christmas candle holder. Red and green, terrible choice. All me, my bad. I mean, I'm going to wipe the top with the friction finish, but it doesn't matter because I'm throwing it in the trash can. Here, look how stupid that is. Red and green, what was I thinking? And all that red flame is going to waste because look how, it looks like I dripped dye all over it, but that's the tree. It's so cool. What a terrible candle holder. What do you guys think? I mean, real bad. It looks like a 70s candle holder, 80s. Anyone want it? If I had it to do again, boy, I might have just filled the whole thing with black and then spent all the time filling these other black ones. Because black looks super cool on stuff filled in or cracks, I think. The only reason I didn't here is because it's so big and I thought it would like be too much dark. But, oof. But here, look at this. So this is a cool example of UV resin. See on the curve? I'll hold it this way. So on this curve, that looks super cool. It's perfectly smooth. Like if I closed my eyes, I couldn't tell you that there was a hole there. And there was a hole there. So the UV is super awesome for filling that stuff. But this was just a bad choice of colors of stone. I actually think turquoise on its own might have looked better. Because turquoise looks kind of cool in wood.
Just tell people it's a Halloween candle and it's bleeding.
A Halloween candle, it's too ugly for Halloween.
And then people are saying turn it down to have it a smaller, narrower candlestick.
That's true. I could just like turn all that away.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Maybe that'll happen. I don't know. Yeah. Here, let's see next to the other one. So, which one wins? Candle 1 or candle 2? And I already know the answer is candle 1. Because this wood is so cool. And see, I tried to outdo Mother Nature here and I messed it up. This one I didn't do anything. I barely even turned it and look how awesome it looks. And that was this little block. So find little cool blocks because imagine a set of these, like cool item for your table or your shelves, gifts, sellers. I bet like pairs of these would sell really well. I never sold candles at events, but I bet these would do well, don't you think? Mm-hmm. Like if you had a set of candle holders that were different sizes and woods, that'd be a really cool gift.
I think if you did all the same type of wood, but then a bunch of different shapes and sizes, that would be
Yeah, like small, medium, shorter, taller, like, yeah, I think you're right. But anyway, like sometimes you can really accent it. You know, here's a, here's an example of black in a crack right here. And it looks really cool. So the black line is a cool thing. This was just so big that I was like, that might just take over. But anything would have been better than this. But anyway, what are you going to do, right? I don't know. Yeah, we'll just turn it into something else. But I think I'm going to call it there because that was kind of weird. Any questions on anything? That kind of turned into a little UV lesson, but that's the fun part is when you can grab something and do something else, you know, along the way. But the finish works really well, and obviously that whole system worked well over the sanding sealer and then under the Mylans. So yeah, I'm sure I put Mylans over UV before, I just don't remember. Because I use it on pens a lot. But you could do inlay on pens or bowls exactly the same. Like you could cut a rim around a whole bowl and just put the UV a little bit at a time and go all the way around. Looks awesome. Any questions before we call it?
no, just like let's go over Emily.
Thanks for hanging out during that weirdness. Yeah, so the 27th of this month, live demo with Emily Ford. Be sure and watch that. If you're local and you want to come down, let us know. And then sometime in March, another one. But just keep looking for these live demos because they're usually, I think they're valuable. I don't know if today was.
Anything people want to see for future demos?
Yeah, if you want to see anything in particular, let us know. We do have a big list, but we'll kind of move stuff around to make sense. So it makes sense.
We are going to get back to
Yeah.
kit list.
Yeah, we do have a lot of kit list custom stuff to do soon, and as well as some casting, so that'll be kind of cool. All right, anything else? Please share this channel with your friends if they're into this so we can get more people watching, and we'll see you next time. Fade to black.